Well, good news. Charlotte's back. The fellow who'd been talking to her asked permission, could he allow her back? And I says, absolutely. And then I had my feelings hurt because she told him that I wanted her to go away. And that's not true. And that's not true. So good news is Charlotte is back, and the median, or the fellow who talks to her, was very concerned because she let him know how sad she was that I wanted her to go away. And that's not true. But anyway, I told him to let her know she's welcome to come back. And it seems like she is back and happy as ever. Today we are in Plum Grove, and I am not going by the sanctuary necessarily. I'm driving on past. Boy, look at the church. Church is packed. This is what I want to come look at right over here. Our hay field, to see how our hay crop is doing. The cemetery looks beautiful. This is the family cemetery. You guys know this. And but what I'm looking at is right over here. We did have this thing fertilized, and I can see that the bahia grass is coming up pretty good. The grass looks to be very, very thick, but I'm also noticing a lot of weedy stuff out there. When I say weedy stuff, look how pretty the cemetery looks. So what you want to see in your pastures, let me go ahead and get out of the truck right quick and show you. What you want to see is this. This is your bahia grass here. And you want this to get up to a certain height, and then all of these seeds will come off of there and they'll reseed for you. I was expecting that our pastures would look even better than they look, so I'm gonna say I'm a little bit let down because all of this stuff is more of a weed. You see all of those things right there, the little stickers. But the problem with waiting too long on your pastures to have it baled or rolled in our case is the fact that if you let the bahia grass go too long, then it will get to a maturity level, then it will end up falling over and not being as nutritious. And then if I can scroll over, looky here, look when I zoom in, you see all of that stuff, all with the little red tops there in that low-lying area is something I'm not familiar with. And so I'm a little surprised. I had thought that with all of the fertilizer I put out, now the grass does look to be a little bit cleaner over here on the higher hill, but all of this stuff here, guys, not sure what all of this is. It looks like an angel hair. And you can see how it's blown all across there. We sometimes would joke and call it our own little version of Texas tumbleweed. When we had our pool over in the backyard, sometimes this stuff would blow all the way across the pasture and go into our pool. And I was sitting there having to unclog that filter all the time. Anyway, I will let Ed know he can drive over and have a peek. But I will say this, it might be that our first cutting might not be the best of cuttings. We may get a lot of hay, don't get me wrong. We may get a lot of hay, but I don't think it's gonna be the same quality hay we've gotten in years past. And that's a little bit shocking to me because I really thought with the amount of money we spent on fertilizer, we'd have a whole lot better grass out here, especially this bahia grass. This is what we want right here. And you just don't see a whole lot of it. I am going to go ahead and drive on up a little bit further and look at the little back spot here behind Joanne's dumpster. But no, I'm not impressed with this at all. And I spent, what did we put, 4 tons of fertilizer on this thing? We put 4 tons of fertilizer out here. And we've had plenty of rain. Yeah, I will say this, here we are in the middle of May, and I don't think it's ready. I think that we need a whole lot more Bahia to be showing before we come out and roll it. And that means that I can almost promise you that Mr. Ed's gonna go ahead and say, give it more time. And I agree. So the idea of having Mayhay might be out of the question. Here's all the Ellie's babies, they're doing great. The idea of getting Mayhay may be out of the question. Hello. Darn it, I was actually hoping for Mayhay. But friends, that's not gonna happen. I do not think we're gonna push on into June. I'm pretty certain. All right, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm proud of Ellie. He and Megan, I would say the first year or so of them trying to run the sanctuary, I think that we put a whole lot of pressure on them early on. And it took them a little bit of time to adjust. But by now they've kind of got some things figured out, and the place looks really nice there. Ellie's able to keep the yard mowed and maintained, and that first year he did not. He keeps his pastures up and going, and like once again, that first year he wasn't really able to keep up with it. He's tried to do a little bit of refencing here and there and try to change a few things around. He wanted to make it his own. He wanted to make it his own. And I completely get that. The cemetery looks beautiful. I am about to get out and go get Lex. We have our Longhorn games today. But listen, no, I just wanted to say that I don't say it enough, how proud I am of Ellie and Megan, how far they have come. I understand that when we made that transition where Jamie and I left the Plum Grove property, the sanctuary as you all call it, and we made our move over to Longhorn Lester's, there were a lot of people who abandoned the sanctuary completely, even though there were still so many amazing animals. It's because you didn't really buy into the fact of a young couple taking on and trying to do all the things that Jamie and I had done. But what you forget is how many years Jamie and I were groomed into doing things like that. Ellie and Megan, though, of course, Ellie grew up with me on those weekends, but for him and Megan to take on the lifestyle, to leave the apartment, to move into the sanctuary full-time, and then have to learn their way, it was trial by fire. It really was trial by fire. And what I will say is this: they have ended up, over the course of the 2, maybe 3 years that they've lived there, Ellie has learned his way around as far as using the equipment, the machinery, keeping things cleaned up, keeping things repaired. Megan does her part, with what she does. They both continue to make their videos of all of their amazing animals. And there's some beautiful animals there, guys. Some people don't realize what miracles happen right there on that same farm, that we've brought you so many miracles, but that little pig Maisie and so many others, just adorable characters and stuff. And then, of course, sometimes people will, I'm a comment reader. And so some of the comments I read are the fact of, these two don't even have a job. And I would let you know real fast that they actually do have a job. And their job is social media creator is one of their jobs, because they both do, in fact, put out videos and go live several times a week. They also run the farm. And running the farm means going out and doing your waters every morning. Summertimes at least 2 or 3 times a day. Doing your counts, doing your vet visits, doing your vaccinations, your inoculations. And so for anybody who's trying to say that Ellie and Megan do not work, that's the same thing as saying that a housewife does not work. Shame, shame, shame. Especially if you're a housewife and you know how tough your job is. But they make their own income. They are not getting paid to do what they do besides the videos they put out of their amazing animals. I'm very proud of them. And they've come a long ways, the both of them have. And I will say one last thing, just as a compliment to Ellie. There's not a man who displays his love for a woman more than what Ellie does for Megan. Megan has...
better now,
I look like I got hit by a train.
No, you look even better though.
I feel like I got hit by a train. I feel like, look at all that. Well, some of that's makeup under my eyes too.
Megan has struggled through some bouts of depression. Ellie has some issues with some OCD. Things that we sometimes find as quirky, but once you understand what they're dealing with, you find a lot of admiration in that. And as I drive by the sanctuary to look at the hay, I'm not looking at the sanctuary, I can't help but look over and feel very, very proud. So good job, Ellie. Wonderful job, Megan. You two are an adorable couple. And I know it's about hay, but I want you all to know that I'm very proud of how far they've come. All right? Thank you all for watching. We love you so much. Blessed to have you. And we will catch you guys in the next video.
Don't let your troubles fester. Come watch Longhorn Lester.
Yeah, something like that.